gold, as Scratchy back with you. About 2 months ago, I was in the need for a battery for the cut, for the mine site, and I wanted to get Starlink and I wanted to use it on the cut, and there's poor reception down there. So I started thinking about this, and of course the universe does its thing, and around about that time someone from BLUETTI contacted me and said, do you want to try out one of our systems? And I said, oh great, it was perfect timing. So I've spent the last month or 6 weeks actually using the BLUETTI V2, which is what you can see here. So as I mentioned earlier, the main reason I wanted some power was to run internet at the cut. So I need to run my Starlink, so I need to plug it into something. So I needed a battery, and BLUETTI is done perfectly in allowing that to happen. This is the cut. I've got a number of different areas that I work, but when you're down in there, the mobile phone network's pretty scant, and if I want to do a live or I want to listen to a podcast or something on the headphones, having this available is pretty good. So this is how I've got it set up. Have a quick look. So I'll just bring the Starlink out here, plug it straight into the unit. Now it's got a really good display. This display is nice and clear, so you can see what you're using all the time. It seems to be using between 50 and 80 watts at any given time. Let me pop around this way. 50 and 80 watts generally to run the Starlink. So that's only, well, put it this way, I ran it the whole day the other day and it still had plenty of power, so it runs that no issue at all. The other thing I found is pretty good, and you can see it here, is with the detectors, sometimes you have a big day and you start to run out of power. Now I don't really want to be mucking around pulling my 240 power adapter for the detector batteries out of the van. So I'm just started using this the DC output on the BLUETTI, and so all I do is just press the on button there and away you go, and I'm charging up my second battery for the 6000 metal detector. So it's really handy for the stuff on the cut. And of course I could probably even charge, I haven't tried it yet, but I could probably even charge some batteries for tools and that. But the two main things that I needed, internet and the metal detector, have been covered off. Pretty happy. Go the BLUETTI. So this Elite 100 V2 is a pretty handy little unit actually, and it's quite light. It's you know, I can sort of, you know, throw it around a bit, but there's enough weight in it. Obviously it's a battery. Compact, looks pretty cool. I've been using it, I've used it down the cut a couple of times, but I've been using it for all sorts of things. It's worked out that I can use it in some really dynamic little things around the van and different charging setups, and so I'm going to explain a few things. This review, I'm sure you can find really fancy, well done reviews, but of course I'm out in the bush. I'm just going to tell you my experience with this machine. It's the biggest wind gust of the day. Oh god.
Yeah, it comes whipping through.
It's like, yeah, it's like, wait, look at this thing. It's like, oh yeah, it's talking about like the universe looking after me, and it's like start your video and the and the wind gust arrives. Anyway, all right, so easy to turn it on. It's got a bunch of features. So it's got 2 outlets. It does about 1800 watts of output. It's got a boost mode to 2700 watts. 1800 watts is quite a lot of output actually, and you know, it's not often that you're going to use that because it's 1024 watt hours, which is about 1 kilowatt, 240 volt. So you know, if you were pulling 1800 watts, it's going to sort of knock that off pretty quick. But most of the stuff you're going to do is going to be just like charging things. So like for instance, you know, I've had the headphones run out a couple of times. You've got these USB-C, got 2 USB-C ports and 2 USB-A ports. So, you know, you just, in you go and you're charging that, and you can charge your phones and everything simultaneously if you wanted to. Now, in terms of how you would charge it, what I've been doing, of course, is I can plug it straight into the van, and when I'm using the generator, I can just plug it in. All right, so I'll just show you how I do it. Come around this side here and you can see the input. So you've got your AC input there. All right, plug it in, it basically fires up straight away. It's got this really good display so you can see everything that's going on, and it'll just kick in, right, and it shows you the input. So what I've done is a couple of different modes of charging. So there's sort of like a soft mode charging, which I think charges at about 600 watts, and then there's one that charges at a higher rate. I think it's 1200 watts. Great review, I know, but I know there's a higher one and a lower one. I have adjusted it up sometimes when I want to charge it a bit faster, but for now. And so you go in to do that. I have done it, so check it out. You can go in, you press your two buttons here, and it brings up the little menu, and then you can scroll through your different menu options there. And I believe menu option 4 could be that. And then you press, yeah, so it's got a boost. It's got a little boost thing up there. I think it's 4. But either way, and then you can just get your settings going like that, right? So easy stuff to navigate around. There'd be an app too. I haven't used the app. I'm out here, I'm busy all the time. No time to do all that, so I've just used it on the machine. So you plug it in, it charges up. The other thing I've been doing, okay, so with the unit comes solar cabling and that main AC cable, right? So that comes with it. I think you can also get an optional car charger. So with the solar cable, what I've found is that, I don't know what it's like in other countries, but in Australia, like, yes, you can plug this straight into your, I think they're called an MC4 connector. You can plug them straight into solar panels, but quite often, if you have a look around here, right, you've got a situation like these fold-out solar, it's quite common, a solar blanket. Well, they run on an Anderson plug, like they've got an Anderson plug connection. So I don't know, I honestly don't know whether Anderson plug is unique to Australia or it's a global thing. But either way, what we did is we just adapted up an Anderson plug adapter, right? So boom, boom, into the accessory that BLUETTI provided. Now, one thing I could say for the Australian market maybe is they might be interested in providing an adapter for an Anderson plug. I reckon it'd be pretty cool for solar. And I think BLUETTI actually have solar panels, their own solar panels that go with it. But for me, I already have one of these. And so you can just bang and put your connector in there. Now, obviously there's no sun. So it's not going to show you the input, but generally what I found is even when it's quite sunny, because it's dusty and there's dust everywhere and it's covering the panels, about 15-20 watts going in at any given time, and that's actually more than enough to sort of charge the unit up over a couple of days if I'm not doing much with it. I just sort of leave it here and it just charges up. So that saves having to put any pressure on the van, or if I haven't had to charge the van for a while with the generator. Now, what is interesting is that sometimes when I'm having an office day and I've got to sit, I'm using a laptop, using the Starlink, there's a lot of power being used, and sometimes I've got to make phone calls and I don't want to use the generator and have it running in the background. So what I've taken to doing is I've got this here and I can go around and give myself a little boost and just dump the entire BLUETTI load into the caravan batteries. And what I've found is that it'll push in that kilowatt and it gives me about 15 to 20%, I think, in the batteries. It's around about that. So it's actually a really good boost. If I'm down on 50%, pushes up to 70, around about 70% or a little bit more maybe. Now you can see how loud that is. Now, it's parked right under the window. I could put it further away, but the thing's bloody heavy. And if it rains, then you've got to put a cover on it. So I usually stick it under the van. So I have it close, and I often put it on when I'm not around so it doesn't bug me. But sometimes I have to. So you got that running. Okay, it serves its purpose. And I can actually charge the BLUETTI up from it if I want to. But obviously, it's so much nicer to just go bang and get that cranking, and I can put that whole 96% in there, and then over the next day or two allow the solar to charge it up. So the only thing I find that's a little bit of a, a little bit of a concern with that is that if I want to use it and I've dumped it all down, then I need it. So I usually run it down. I only put a little bit in the, caravan because I don't want to run it all the way down. So have a look here now. So it's outputting about, it's consistently outputs about 540 watts. So on that basis, you would run the whole thing down in about probably just under 2 hours. Okay, and like I said, it gives me probably, I think it's between 15 and 25% in the batteries in the caravan, which is quite a significant amount, and especially when I can do it in peace. So there you go, it's backing me up out in the bush, it's doing its thing, and it's like, yeah, I've got this little symbiosis going with the generator. It's like my quiet generator. It's pretty cool. So, all right, make sure I've covered off these features. It's all over the place. See, this is it's a bush review. It's a bush review. So that's how you do it with your solar. You've got a DC output there, all right, which I've also found handy for charging down at the cut. Now these 12 volt outlets here, I don't know, I don't have anything that uses those. So I'm sure there's obviously people who use those at those ones, but I don't have anything that's actually using those right now. So I'm not really overly familiar, but I think everyone's familiar obviously with the USB ports and obviously 240. So I think that's the main bits and pieces of how I've been using it. In terms of how other people might use it, there's all sorts of things. I think some of the features are, it can act as a uninterrupted power supply, like a UPS. So you could have a situation where you have your appliance plugged into it. It's plugged into the wall at home. There's a power outage, and it instantly kicks in and allows the appliance that's plugged into it to continue using power. So it gives you a little bit of backup for a period of time, which I think is pretty cool for such a small unit. Now I actually have like an edge node running for crypto at home, which is for the Theta network, which earns me cryptocurrencies. And I live off grid, but from time to time you might have an interruption for some reason if you don't put fuel in the generator or something, because I'm not home. It's just a couple of things happen, and then it sort of drops out and it needs to be rebooted. But I could just leave this on there and have the computer continue to run without any interruption. So I'm sort of thinking in the back of my mind, okay, when I'm finished up on the mine site, I'm home for the off season, how I might use it in applications at home and around the farm as well. So look, all in all, from the point of view of functionality for me here, it's been perfect. And I'm sure many people would be able to adapt. There's a cocky coming in. One more thing I forgot to mention, it does have in the package it has like an earth screw, so you can earth it if you need to. And it cleans up the power output as well. So in terms of it's a UPS, but it also means if you need a clean output from say dirty power, if you got sort of a poor grid connection or something like that, it acts in that function as well. So there's all sorts of stuff you might use it for. But for me, it was simply, how do I get extra power on the cut? How do I charge a few batteries? How do I run a bit of Starlink? And now I've actually evolved that a little bit more. So that's my BLUETTI. And if you want one, get on to the website and get yourself one. I have no problem. I wouldn't have endorsed it if I hadn't given it a good workout so I sort of delayed things, of course, for a month or 6 weeks because I wanted to give it a bit of a crack. And if the thing keeled over, I would have been like, no, you can take it back. I'm not telling anyone about it. But it didn't, and it's been doing exactly what it said it would do, and it's really good. So I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm sure you will be too. So there you go, review from Scratchy out in the bush. BLUETTI Elite 100 V2. Get yourself one.